I believe something good is going to happen with this group. We've just got to keep fighting and keep moving forward. Steve Kerr, the Warriors coach, said. You see, a lot of people are quick to dismiss the Warriors in the regular season. They say things like, oh, they're just coasting, or they're not as good as they used to be. But here's the thing, they're fooling everyone. Sure, they've had some big wins here and there, but they've also had some pretty embarrassing losses. Let me explain. You see, the Warriors have been one of the most dominant teams in recent NBA history. They've won multiple championships, set all sorts of records, and had some of the best players in the game. But you see, they're not content to just dominate in the regular season. They're playing the long game. But before we get into the Warriors' long game, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. We don't want you to miss any of our upcoming videos. All right, let's get into it. The Warriors know that the regular season doesn't really matter all that much. Sure, it's nice to have a good record and home court advantage in the playoffs, but ultimately, it's the playoffs that really count. And that's where the Warriors shine. They've been there, done that. They know what it takes to win in the playoffs, and they're just biding their time until the postseason rolls around. And when that time comes, the Warriors turn into a completely different team. They play with a sense of urgency and intensity that's unmatched. They have a track record of stepping up their game when it matters most. And this year is going to be no exception. They have some of the best players in the game, like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, who all step up their games in the playoffs. And they have a championship mentality that's hard to beat. When we talk about chemistry and experience, they know each other inside and out. And that's not something you can buy. It's earned through years of playing together and going through the tough times. The Warriors this season. It's been a tale of two seasons for the Warriors since Game 1. They're 29-7 at home, not too shabby. But on the road, they're 8-29. With the team starting the year losing 9 straight games away from home, that's a massive difference in performance. The team is definitely dealing with some mental hurdles, but there are also statistical anomalies at play. Opponents are only making 32.7% of their threes when playing at Chase, which is the lowest league-wide. But when the Warriors are on the road, that skyrockets to 41.4%, which is the second highest. In other words, the Warriors are definitely getting some shooting luck at home, which overcorrects on the road. Golden State is 19th in opponent three-point percentage in total, which is slightly worse than the league average. They're also around average in the term of number of open threes conceded. So, when we factor in the Warriors' overall numbers, their opponent's three-point variance doesn't seem that strange anymore. Crucially, Golden State has still shown stretches of elite defense on the road, although it doesn't happen consistently. Jordan Poole. Now, let's focus on that roster. And let's start with Poole. Last year, Poole was on fire with a 55.1 effective field goal percentage, which ranked in the 80th percentile among guards. But this season, that number has dropped to just 51.3%, which puts him in the 40th percentile. What's going on with Poole? Well, he's been taking more inefficient shots this season. The percentage of his attempts from the mid-range has increased from 25% to 31%, while his three-point attempts have decreased from 51% to 45%. Now, taking mid-range shots isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not the most efficient way to score. And when you combine that with the decrease in three-point attempts, it's not a recipe for success. What does this mean for the Warriors? Well, they need Poole to get back to his efficient ways if they want to make a deep playoff run. And again, Poole is not new to this. We all know what he can do when he's on top of his game. If Poole can start taking smarter shots and knocking down his threes, it'll be a game changer for the team. Jonathan Kuminga. Another positive for the Warriors has been Jonathan Kuminga. Recently, Draymond Green said, his improvement has been great. He's right where you would hope a guy to be at this point in his career. Continuing to grow and getting better at it. Understanding more. Becoming more and more reliable. That's all you can ask for. As many of you already know, Andrew Wiggins has been on a leave of absence and Andre Iguodala is out with a fractured left wrist. This leaves the Warriors with a bit of a gap to fill in terms of wing players. And that's where Kuminga has come in. He's young, he's talented, and he's definitely one to watch. In fact, he's probably the most interesting wing player on the active roster right now. Kuminga has been making waves with his impressive athleticism and skill on the court. Now, Klay Thompson is usually known for his offensive prowess, but lately, his defense has been lacking. And while Anthony Lamb has some craftiness, he just doesn't quite measure up to Kuminga's athleticism. Let's get this out the way just for a while. Since Wiseman joined the Pistons at the trade deadline, he has shown some serious improvement. From a bench warmer to a solid big man who's almost averaging a double-double per game, the guy has really stepped up his game. And let's be honest, those points and rebounds are something the Warriors could use right now. Wiseman had a tough time in his first year with the Warriors. He had very little impact on the team, and it was pretty clear that his departure was inevitable. The Warriors managed to avoid too much criticism for getting basically nothing out of such a high draft pick. But let's be real, it was a disappointment. disappointment. Now, I know not every number 2 pick turns into a superstar like Ja Morant or Kevin Durant. We've seen plenty of examples of high picks that didn't live up to expectations, but with the Warriors, it was a different story. They had just come off of a championship run, and their core was still intact. When they ended up with the number 2 pick, everyone expected them to land a top young player who could help them continue their success. Unfortunately, that didn't happen with Wiseman. The reason why Wiseman struggled to develop wasn't entirely his fault. Injuries and the departure of Kevin Durant had a huge impact on the Warriors season. And it's not easy for a rookie to come into a team that's dealing with so much adversity. On top of that, he was drafted during a pandemic, which made everything even more challenging. But the biggest reason why he was left behind was because of the Warriors championship core. Now, I know that bad teams typically get high draft picks and have the time to develop them, but the Warriors were in a different position. They were a great team with the ticking clock. They had to make the most of every opportunity they had to win another championship, and that meant they couldn't afford to wait for a young player to develop. This season, the team didn't have much room or patience for the slow process of developing a still very raw player. With the clock ticking for veteran players like Curry, Green, and Thompson, there was a sense of urgency every game. The team needed to win, and they needed to win now. But let's be honest, that urgency didn't always lead to wins. Despite the pressure to perform, the Warriors have struggled this season. And while it's easy to blame it on Wiseman's departure, it's hard to imagine that him being around would have changed the outcome of those games. But we have to be realistic about the situation. Developing a raw player takes time, and sometimes that time just isn't there. The Warriors are a team that's built to win now, and they're not going to sacrifice their chances of winning for the sake of player development. We didn't see a path. General Manager Bob Myers said of Wiseman's time with the Warriors. The Warriors now see a path, and it's the same one that's been in place since 2015. With the big 3, plus Kevin Looney, Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, and key role players who don't need to be slowly developed. But there's more urgency now, more than there has ever been. The competition in the West has improved, with 5 teams ahead of them in the standings. And let's not forget the wear on the members of the Warriors Invitational. Another year of playing at the highest level has taken its toll, but despite all of that, there's added motivation. This team hasn't played its best. They've been doubted, and they've made missteps, but they're still in the fight. Now, we all know that Steph Curry is the man. He's the heart and soul of this team, and arguably the greatest player this franchise has ever seen.
We get defended a lot of different ways, knowing that me, Clay, JP, can shoot the way we can and space the floor. So I could tell early they were trying to take any good looks away. So you just try to make the right play, kick it to the open guy. And to your point, you only get 13 assists if people make shots. And all the way down to Draymond's last and one where he was ready to finish at the rim. So you just got to be able to adjust depending on how the defense is guarding you.
So, it's only natural that the team owes it to him to give him the best chance possible to win right now. But it's not just about Curry. This group of players knows that this could be their last chance to win together. The pressure is on, and they need to bring their A game if they want to go out on top. Don't sleep on the Warriors. They've got what it takes to go all the way, and I can't wait to see it happen. And if you're a Dubs fan, don't worry about the regular season. Your team is just getting warmed up. When the playoffs roll around, the real fun begins. The Warriors are coming. Warriors. And they're not fooling around. As always, thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. Until next time, take care.